Greetings to my friends around the world, especially those connected to the wonderful ministry at CLC Kenya. I've been asked to give some comments and discussion about the idea of the road back to financial stability and independence and getting back on our feet after the Covid-19 pandemic. Beginning in March of the year 2020, the Covid-19 pandemic drove many people out of business and eliminated many jobs, both temporarily and permanently. And my heart goes out to each and every person on every continent who's been impacted and whose families have suffered because of the pandemic. In addition to asking God for help and sustenance, what can you do? Ask yourself, what can I do today to change my life and give financial security to my family? When the pandemic struck in the early spring of 2020, I worried that all the economic activity would cease. But that wasn't what happened. For sure, all of the traditional paper-based, in-person economic activity was shut down. But virtual, online, and cloud-based activity exploded. 2020 was the best year for my secular business and for the nonprofit ministries with which I'm involved. Why? Because before the pandemic, we were already cloud-based with a remote workforce. Literally nothing changed for the secular business or the ministry. Our ability to deliver the message and receive income, receive donations digitally resulted in a record year for all of the organizations, both the secular business and the nonprofit businesses. All of them flourished and had up years for calendar year 2020. So what do you do now? Maybe you were not in that position, you weren't prepared, and you found that your country, your community, your family was severely and negatively impacted by this pandemic, by the disruptions in economic activity. So what are you going to do now? The ability to become a millionaire, to flourish, to provide financial security for you and your family, I believe is greater outside of the United States than it is inside the United States. If you're in Asia or Africa, those opportunities are exponentially greater than they are in the developed countries, Western Europe, Britain, and the United States. Part of the reason is that the average annual income for citizens in Western countries varies from 20,000 US dollars to 40,000 US dollars per year. In developing and emerging economies, it may be a fraction of that. It may be 1/10 of that amount. That means that the ability to go from here to here is easy for you. In America and developed countries, you're already starting on par with everybody else, and there's very little room to rise. You're competing with so many people that have the same idea, the same business model. But put me in Kampala or Lira in Uganda, put me in Manila, put me on the island of Mindanao in the Philippines, and it would be easy to make millions of dollars in whatever the currency is in that country by simply being innovative, by being creative, by providing a level of service, exceptional service and product that is not common to those areas. And if you can provide that kind of excellence, you can flourish, you can grow your business exponentially, and not only provide financial stability, but I think you can find great wealth and build and preserve great wealth in those areas. So what do you do now? I believe the first thing is to get out of the chair. You have to get out of the chair, seize the opportunities that lie before you, and put into action your business plan and your model, whatever it is, and begin where you can. Begin often that's small, and just do what you can do. I believe that there's more demand for the power of ideas and ingenuity and meeting needs where you are than you can even imagine. Got to get off your behind and make it happen. Let me give you an example. When I was in a village in Asia, I remember having this same discussion with some of the folks that lived there, and they were very despondent. They were very pessimistic. They had a very fatalistic view of life and of their future. And I noticed that there were not many paved roads in the country or in this particular region. And where there was a paved road, every village that was upon that road, the people would gather at the edge of that road, and they would usually pull up a stump, a log cut from a palm tree, place that there's a seat, and they sat by the side of the road and they watched life go by. Day after day, week after week, they would sit on that stump from a tree, log from a tree, and they would watch the world go by. They would pray to God for favor. They would pray to God for blessing, and they would wish that their life was better. Yet there they sat on that log. So when I arrived and had this discussion, they responded that, "You don't understand, brother, that things are difficult here. The country is poor. People are not educated. What can we do other than pray to God for a miracle or beg Americans to send us cash? We need donations. We need gifts from the people in the West." And I said, "You don't need gifts from the people in the West. Your opportunity to earn money is greater in your country than it is in America. But the first thing that happens is you have to get off of that log, get off of that seat, and begin to do something." And so I explained how one could start a business, and they didn't understand. And I said, "Let's do this. We're going to go to the store, and we're going to buy a case of Coca-Cola, 24 bottles in the case. We're going to buy that case, and we're going to take it to the roadside, and we're going to put it on that stump on which you've been sitting for years, and we're going to sell them for 2 times what we paid, for double of what we paid for them." So we were able to buy a case of Cokes, and it was just pennies each, Coca-Cola. We put the case on the stump, we offered them for sale, and we sold them within an hour and doubled our money. My friends, this is business. Simply find a need, be creative, meet that need, and you'll be able to double your money. You'll be able to earn a profit. And then you can just build on it. What if my Cokes were colder? What if I had different snacks to go with my Cokes? What if I had different types of beverages to offer to these people? The more I do, the more I'm going to earn. But you can't do it by thinking about it. You can't do it by simply writing out a business plan. You have to take action. You have to get off of the stump and use your stump to make your millions. Don't watch the world go by, but do something. And just ask God what He wants you to do. Ask Him for wisdom. Ask Him for guidance as you're a steward of the resources He's given you, and God will bless you. Be sensitive. Hear from God to do the right thing. Don't do the wrong thing. But you will find your path that God has ordained for you. And you'll find success, you'll find prosperity, you'll find financial stability for your family. But you have to take action. Earning money, building a business, recovering from a disaster is not done by sitting on the log, by sitting in a chair, by staring at a computer screen. You're going to have to do something in order to make this happen. So let's talk about a couple of great ideas that you can consider and that you might be able to launch. Each of you probably has a dream, you have a notion, you have a thought, or you've written something out on the type of business that you want to provide to others. I want you to think about those in the context of whether you're meeting a need. Is what you want to do for your business, is this idea, this notion that you have, is it something that other people want? Is it something that people want to buy? Is it something that they desire? Remember, every business needs to meet a need. Just because it's something that you like doesn't mean that it's something other people will like and that they're going to buy from you. I know this is a Christian gathering. However, many of the American business people that I've observed like to drink wine, and so each one of them, probably half of the business people I've ever met, they want to start a wine bar. They want to start a restaurant or a cafe or bar where they can serve fine wines and sip their silly wine and have a big time. Sometimes read a book or talk with their friends. And this notion, for some reason, took hold in America among dozens and dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs. And all of the ones that I know that started a wine bar lost all of their money, lost millions of dollars on trying to start these enterprises, because it was simply something that they liked. They liked drinking too much wine, which is a bad habit, and ultimately it was a silly business idea, and very, very few of them ever succeeded. So you can't just have an idea in your mind that is something you like. You have to do the research. You have to ask people in your community if this is something that they want. If you can find a need in your community and meet that need, you're going to succeed wildly in your business. So be sure that you're looking to discover what people want, meet that need, and do it with excellence. If you do it with excellence, you're also going to succeed. And why are you going to succeed if you do it with excellence? It's because most of the people that are around you are not running their business with excellence. Their customer service is poor, their product is poor, they're not timely, they don't answer the phone, they don't respond to their clients quickly. Most or many businesses are not well run. If you look at some of the global and successful businesses, you will find that they're very successful because they provide excellent service. Many of you are familiar with Amazon. Even though their political inclinations are suspect, Amazon provides good service, and they provide it very quickly. It's quick response, you have a wide selection, and you are able to understand what you're getting, and then it arrives as predicted. All right? That's the basis for any business. If you want to create a standard for your business, ask yourself every day, am I doing my business as well as Amazon? If you can answer yes, then you have a great prospects for your business, and hopefully will be successful. But you have to run it as good as Amazon. Now, if you have not started your business yet and you're looking to launch something new, your businesses are going to fall into two different categories. You're going to have virtual businesses and you're going to have non-virtual business. So what is a virtual business? You can be a virtual assistant, a virtual bookkeeper, a virtual book editor, a virtual tutor, teaching online. All of these things you can do online, and you can do them without a physical deliverable product, right? You're able to provide knowledge, assistance, and other things where your deliverable is virtual or digital and doesn't require you to have a physical product. Then you have the whole other class of businesses, which are traditional businesses, which are non-virtual. And this would be if you are, for example, say it's selling books. If you're selling paper books, you have to make a digital connection with clients, but you ultimately have to deliver a physical product, a book, like you might at CLC, unless you're doing ebook. Let's talk about another business. You might start a nursery. If you don't live in the city and you live in the country, a great business to begin is a nursery. Most people don't have the forethought and long-term view to do a nursery. So in agricultural communities, the person who begins a nursery will literally control that entire ecosystem and economy, because you've taken the long-term view. You're willing to plant and grow and plan for which plants and trees are going to be valuable down the road. You're going to take the time to cultivate those things, and ultimately you end up being one of the controlling people or factors in that agricultural economy in your community. So in that case, that's a very physical business, right? You may advertise digitally, you may have a presence online, but ultimately the work you do, the product you create and deliver to clients is all a physical product, very organic, of course. The same would be true of, let's say, a tilapia farm. If you were in an urban area or in a small village or town somewhere, tilapia farm or fish farm can be an incredible business that you can start very quickly. You can have fairly rapid results, high profits, but it's a very physical type of a business where you're delivering something physical. So as you separate, you have to decide what type of business you're best prepared for. If you live in an urban area, it's Nairobi, it's New York, it's London. In many cases, virtual business are often very popular. There are plenty of physical businesses that you can do, but a virtual business lends itself well to an urban area where you can provide a service to people that is delivered virtually. If it's going to be a physical product, you're going to have you're going to have what we call the front end of your business be digital, advertising, social media presence, etc. But ultimately you have to have the capacity to create the product and deliver it to the client, whether that's a personal delivery, a mail delivery, or whatever. So you have to have the ability to provide and produce those physical goods in a virtual world. I want to further emphasize, as you launch your business and you begin to do it, or maybe you're an entrepreneur who already has a business that's young, or maybe you have a business that's been going on for some time, but you've suffered because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I want you to look to the scripture for inspiration. When you look at the parable of the talents, the ruler gave talents to 3 of his servants and asked them to do well with those assets that they were given. When he came back, he wanted to see what each servant had done with the resources they had been given. And the one who had done nothing with those resources was cursed, and the one who had multiplied those resources was blessed and made ruler of all, and given 10 times what he already had. To him who has shall be given, and him who has not shall be taken away. And when we think about business, because this is the most business-like of Jesus' parables, what is he telling us here? He's telling us that whatever he has put in your hand, whether you have 10 pounds or you have 1,000 pounds. This is what God has given you. These are your resources, and He's asked you to be a steward of it. If you're poor, if you're middle class, if you're already affluent, whatever you have, my friend, my brother, my sister, you have to do the best you can with what you have. And I promise you, the promise of the scripture is there, that if you will do the best with what you have, the people around you are lazy. They're not going to do the best. If you will rise up in the name of Jesus Christ and do the best with what you've been given, God will bless you. He will give you 10 times more. You don't need a new idea. You may not need to have a gift or an infusion of cash. I promise you, do the best. Be the steward of the resources that God has given you, the faithful steward. And God will bless you abundantly in your life, in your ministry, and in your business. I wish you all the best. God bless you, and God be with you in your endeavors.